Hello and welcome back to the DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. It's Matt.
Hey, Brian.
How's it going?
Great.
It is great. It's always great to be back doing what we love.
Yeah.
Going through movies. If you guys don't know, what we do here is we watch movies from my collection. Some that I haven't seen in a really long time, or sometimes it's a old favorite. In fact, more often than not, lately it's been kind of an old favorite. I was commenting on it. We've been going a little easy on ourselves recently, so we're probably gonna have to get into some more weird stuff. It's all been either well-remembered favorites or unknowns that we're trying to pass along, or talking big franchises that everybody's seen. And yeah, I guess today falls into that category a little bit. We're gonna be talking about 1994, which are you surprised it's that old? 1994.
I was wondering where it was in like the lexicon of all these guys' careers, but
yeah,
it's earlier than I
thought. We'll talk
thought.
the cast a little bit, and we'll get into that. But yeah, 94 Airheads.
Wow.
This is again falls into that category of a movie that I really love. I know pretty well, or at least I feel like I know pretty well. Although it has probably been a long time, quite a while since I watched it. But I've watched it a lot. Real quick with the cast. We've talked Brendan Fraser on here a little bit before, obviously.
Recently.
Just recently. We did The Mummy not too long ago. I say The Mummy like we did the good one.
No, we didn't.
We did not.
This is like opposite ends, the bookends of his career, sort of, here.
Well, yeah, like, I was looking at it. It's funny you were talking about. It is funny where these guys were in their career, because like Brendan Fraser had already had some big hits. He had already done School Ties.
Yeah.
He'd already done Encino Man. But then he was also this was actually a really big year for him. 94.
Okay.
He was in With Honors.
Oh,
remember that? With Joe Pesci. That was like Joe. There was a lot of movies around that time that had like a kind of short, hairy actor. Mentoring, because remember Renaissance Man came out.
Yeah, Renaissance Man, all trying to be the whatever club, Dead Poet Society. Yeah, they were all trying to do that.
Trying to catch up on that, which is weird. Like you think of movies that come out, like you think of Guardians of the Galaxy is trying to kind of emulate Star Wars. But you don't think about movies that are trying to emulate like Dead Poet Society. Man, if I could only get my Dead Poet Society share universe going. But yeah, so this was a big year. He also had With Honors, and then he had The Scout come out this year, where he played like a baseball.
He was a crazy guy in that, right?
I think so. But he's also like a baseball, like a pitching prodigy or something.
Maybe I'm thinking something else. Yeah, I'm mixing up. I missed The Scout.
The Scout, I think it had Albert Brooks in it.
Okay.
I had to guess. I don't know. But anyway, the one that we're talking about is Airheads, and then he kind of like he does Airheads in '94. And then he doesn't really get back into doing stuff I really recognize until like 97, 98, 99 when he does like George of the Jungle and then The Mummy.
Yeah.
And gets into the Brendan Fraser era that we kind of remember his heyday. But he has two heydays.
Yeah, he really does. He's
like,
kind of just...
Starts in the early 90s and then he comes back strong in the late 90s.
Takes a little time for himself. Good for him.
Yeah. Next I wanted to... Oh, and he's Chaz. Is his character. Lead singer of the band. You know, kind of the driving force.
Yep.
The drummer, Pip, played by Adam Sandler. This is Adam Sandler's last supporting role. Last time he wasn't the lead in a movie. Basically, 94 is this. 95. Well, 94 he had a couple things. I think he had Mixed Nuts come out in 94 too, where he's with Steve Martin, another like big cast type movie. And then in 95, Billy Madison from there on out.
Oh yeah, bam.
Right. But this is definitely back when he was just hitting on all cylinders. Everybody loved what he was doing. There was no complaints about Adam Sandler in this era.
Oh, no. This is when we were salivating. Give us more, please.
Exactly. Like Billy Madison couldn't come soon enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
Also, this marks his first pairing with Steve Buscemi, who plays Rex, the third member of their band. Lead guitar, or is he the bass player? Because Chaz lead guitar and vocals.
Yeah, and he's drum. Pip's drums, so he's bass. That's right.
So, yeah, this is their first team up, which obviously led to them. I mean, Adam Sandler basically put Steve Buscemi in every... Is it Buscemi?
I don't know. I think it's technically Buscemi, but he doesn't correct people.
Buscemi? I think I've heard him say it. It's like the... I think he explained it's like the least classy way you can say it. Everybody always tries to class it up, so he doesn't like... So, either way, however we pronounce it throughout the day, any one of those is fine. Mr. Buscemi's too polite to correct us anyway, and thank him for that. That's why he's one of America's greatest actors.
And also, the sexiest he's ever looked in a movie.
Oh, yeah. I remember it's weird because, like, I think it took me a while to even realize it was Steve Buscemi in this. I think I thought it was Gary Sinise.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's got kind of a Gary Sinise vibe in this with his goatee and his long hair.
Gary Sinise was on the moon in '94, man. He was going to the moon.
Yeah, this was kind of in between time for Buscemi too. He he'd kind of been working since the '80s. '91, big year for him because he did Barton Fink, so that got him in with the Coens,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the year Reservoir Dogs comes out. But that only kind of jumped him to the level of like, hey, that guy,
Yeah.
hey, it's that guy, and so that's the era he's in when he does this. And then by '96 he does Fargo, and I think that's what jumps him into the Buscemi we all know. That's when he goes on to do Con Air and all the stuff where he like is just playing the crazy guy with the crazy eyes.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I was thinking about this exact thing on the way over. This really is like pre all three of these guys before
they're
they
all
really
kind of in a middle section. I guess you would say like it's definitely pre Big Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
But for Buscemi, and it's kind of like in the middle. It's like they're kind of hovering around these star making.
Would you say at this point in time they are more or less famous than Pauly Shore during this time in their careers? And Pauly Shore's time.
Less. And here's why. Here's why. I got a good reason for this. I was looking at Brendan Fraser's filmography to get an idea of this. Right around this time, he was showing up in Pauly Shore movies as Encino, as the character from Encino.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that
he cameoed in like 2 or 3 Pauly Shore movies.
They would just bring him in as Encino, like it made no sense. I fucking love you, Pauly Shore.
Exactly. So that's the level that Pauly Shore was on, where Brendan Fraser was lucky to cameo in Pauly Shore movies. That's awesome.
There you go. That's all you needed to know about where these guys were in their career. That's actually the scale we should use for everybody: greater than, less than Pauly Shore at any time.
At the time of release. So not only do you have to factor in where their career was at, but what was Pauly doing?
There's really like 18 months where you're going to be less than.
As long as you didn't release a film between '91 and '93, you're good to go.
You're all right. Technically, we are more famous than Pauly Shore right now.
Got anything you want to add about Airheads?
Just, I'm right there with it. Maybe the most like beloved of all the movies we've done for me. I love Airheads so much.
I quote this still on the reg. It'll be fun to give it a rewatch.
And I'll say I've chosen my character corner already. We'll see if it changes.
Like I said, there's a whole cast. Like everybody in the cast is great. There's at least one cameo that is like from a legend. There's also like some hidden musical cameos, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll get unseated. Maybe we'll get unseated. All right.
We can piece it out. So, all right, let's do it.
All right.
Hey, welcome back. We're back. We just watched Airheads.
Oh yeah, we did.
And yeah, this movie holds up real good. So we're not gonna waste our time with goodbye later. Go watch Airheads if you've never seen Airheads.
Awesome.
Anyway, so movie starts out introing all our characters, right? Chaz, we see him his whole first bit is he rolls up to the to like Palantine Records, and uses like a disguise to break in, but he's been there a bunch of times. Like everybody knows him, everybody passes by. It's like it's that guy getting the world's worst security guard. It's like, oh, you snuck by me. Oh, what the what? And there he meets our first. Like I said, I've got a couple names for a character corner later, but like this movie's packed full of great actors, great, and so many comedians. It reminds me of Coneheads. You ever watch Coneheads?
Yeah.
Almost every side role in Coneheads is packed with either a comedian or an SNL alum. Everybody, even the small roles, and it's all great. It's just so many, and this movie's similar in the way it's cast. But he meets Judd Nelson, so that's our first one.
Yep.
That he's the record executive, Jimmy at Palantine Records, who basically tells him, you can't just come here and drop off your tape with me. You gotta like go through channels or whatever.
Yeah. And
it's obviously a song and dance that Chaz has heard a bunch of times before. And Scurry throws him out. He goes home to meet Kayla. Kayla is played by, and I gotta get this straight because I always mess it up. I think we talked about it during 200 Cigarettes. This is Amy Locane.
Oh, okay.
Who plays Kayla. Not Angela Featherstone from 200 Cigarettes, who's also in The Wedding Singer. She's the girl from The Wedding Singer. And also not Bridget Wilson from Billy Madison either.
Not Bridget Wilson.
It's not her. Yeah. She doesn't look as much like him, but I think just because of Sandler movies and the time frame, I got a lot of these blonde actresses mixed up. I shouldn't do that. They all did fine work separately, and they should be acknowledged for it. So, Kayla busts his chops about being a bum. They get in a big fight, he leaves. And then we meet Rex. Rex, job at the KB Toys type
Yeah, I
it
love
looks
that.
like a KB to me. Like they're not really around anymore. And at first I thought it was just that funny, like the dichotomy of, oh, look, he's like a rock guy, but he works at a toy store.
Yeah.
But it's a plot point for the movie because that's where they get the guns. The
Yes.
squirt guns. The toy store can't sell them because they're too realistic looking.
That's right.
So
That's
they got
right.
those squirt guns, those ultra realistic looking squirt guns that they want to fill, that they like to
Nice.
fill up with hot sauce. So it's like mace.
I also like that he is a good employee. I mean, he's not. They could have just showed him slacking off and hanging out.
No,
But
he's like
actually stocking.
doing his, he's doing his job. I mean, he like once it's quitting time, he bolts, and he's not very respectful to his superior there.
No.
But
that's rock and roll.
It's
you know what I mean?
You gotta be rock
you gotta
and roll.
Still, yeah, it's still who you are.
And then we meet up with Pip, and that's Adam Sandler, and Pip and Rex are brothers, and they live together. So because Brendan Fraser's been through the motions with Judd Nelson on this whole trying to get his demo played, they get the idea to take it just straight to the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
They hear some, they're at some gig where some people say that that's the station played their song, and that's how they got signed. So that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna sneak down there and get in. But they know there's like security involved. They know they're not just gonna be able to walk in the front door. So right away they're already like they're breaking in.
They're ready to go.
I wondered why there wasn't just a first attempt to just try to go in the front door.
They've had that meeting.
I guess that's true. That's true.
The prequel.
That's Palantine Records all over again. I'm not dealing with any shirts and suits. I'm going to the man. I'm taking it in. Okay, fair enough.
Which I love. The plan is Airheads is apt. Like, it's kind of like a weird title, and it doesn't really have any meaning right to the movie, but
I mean, I guess air, like, because it's all takes place at a radio
station.
Yeah,
okay.
Like,
I get you.
They're on the air.
Well, I guess I'm the airhead, and I went right over. But
and it works as the thing that they're dumb too.
Yeah,
so kind of like a.
And that's what I was gonna say. The plan to use your ATM card and put your PIN in to break
that card would just work anywhere. I like that machine was set up to confiscate cards, but they didn't get the right code.
It's such a great high tech machine. It's like, wait a minute, no, and also wrong PIN number too.
Right,
that would have worked.
Take it.
Guess what? That would have worked.
But of course they do get in. They get into the radio station.
Thanks to Pip.
Yeah, thanks to Pip getting hit in the face of the door by the secretary.
Mm-hmm.
But they get in, and they make it all the way, and they just get right into the DJ booth with our next character introduction, Joe Mantegna, as Ian the Shark. Basically, they're Howard Stern, their shock jock radio rock. Not necessarily a shock jock, more like a rock and roll DJ. Less talk time. He's mostly just playing music.
Absolutely.
But you can tell he's
and arguably the hero of our movie and the man who actually has an arc in the movie. I would say of all the characters, he actually has an arc, and it's a good one. You know what I mean?
Kind
of goes to the heart of the movie. But
and then of course Milo breaks in. And Milo is the studio. Was he the manager, studio manager? The station manager. That's what it is, station manager. And he's like, get him off the radio. What's wrong with you? And of course, gets up in Rex's face, and Rex has got little man complex, because he's all Steve Buscemi'd out.
Yeah.
And he whips out one of those squirt guns, and that's when the movie really kicks in. I would say full gear here.
Yeah.
Sticks the machine gun in Michael McKean's face, and we're off to the races.
So to speak. Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, and he's the most. That's why he has to take these steps. His character does, because he's the most useless one in the band. Pip is sort of the glue and the backbone. Chaz is the artistic drive.
He's like the driving force.
Yeah.
And there has to be somebody in a movie like this, the group that's just like the assholes always like kind of holding them back a little bit and like fucking things up a little bit. And that's kind of what Rex is. But I think I think he stays fairly endearing through the movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, even when he's trying to grope up on the secretary, like at the very end, it's just more like an extended hug that goes on a little too long, to where she's kind of like pushing off him. But even in that moment, like you're like, I get it.
No, I think deep down he's a good guy. He's just got his own problems. But even they do say to him later, like, kind of escalated that a little too quickly. Like, there was a few more steps before pulled the machine gun out. Because Ian was gonna play. You had the feeling that he was gonna play their tape at that point.
Like, especially just to spite Milo, because once Milo came in, and he was like, because you could just tell they got that dynamic where they don't like each other.
And I feel like even then though, they like at the moment he pulled the gun out, I still thought Ian was gonna get that tape played. Like it was not necessary. It was gonna happen.
As they're gathering up the, and bringing in all the staff, we also see the cops starting to show up. Now actual cops. Now that obviously they started to come out, somebody saw them, they ran back in. So now we're getting more cops. The first cop on the scene, though, a little cameo by Alan Covert. I don't know where in the Adam Sandler friendship this movie falls. Was this early? Were they already friends and writing together before this? I don't know.
Super young looking.
Super young looking in this.
Wow, what a good looking guy. Just aged. He got better and better looking there. Like he's good looking as a young guy, and just wow. Handsome man for sure.
But then the cops that we get Ernie Hudson as the police captain.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley is this kind of like well-meaning stooge, I would say. And much like we talked about with Dirty Work, I think this is kind of the best role for Farley. This is almost I almost would consider this a continuation of his security guard in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That guy went on to become an actual cop. It would be this guy.
Yeah.
He has less to do in this than I remember.
Yeah, he wasn't in a ton. They really just had the scene at the club.
Yeah.
And like a couple other scenes, but not anything huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's their first thing is, Ernie Hudson shows up. Chaz tells him, hey, the tape's fucked up. You have to find Kayla. She's out on the strip. She's got the other copy of the tape. So that becomes Farley's job to go find her.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, they cut to her taking the tape out and throwing it out into the street. And that's a little running bit where you see bad shit happen to the tape. You see the cholos and their lowriders bouncing on the tape and shit, and the dog pissing on it and whatnot.
Yeah, that's good.
That was fun. I like that little bit. But yeah, that's Farley's little bit of business. He gets to go out to the club and they get a scene where White Zombie's playing, the legit, real White Zombie, back when Rob Zombie only made bad music and not also bad movies. And see, he gets this little scene there. But yeah, definitely in it less than I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say he's really fucking good. There's a couple scenes where it's Ernie Hudson talking, and he's just behind him, and he's just making a face, and I'm laughing my ass off at just Chris Farley making faces. It's probably not even supposed to be, but it was great. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it, but I think it bears repeating. I think Sandler slays it in this movie. Like, you could see why people wanted to move him into a starring position. Like, he's basically stealing this movie out from under everybody, right?
Yeah, and doing, like, understated things. Like, he's not really doing anything. He's kind of underplaying it, and the only time
he's doing his awkward, like, early 90s Sandler thing with the weird little voices and the little move, and he does that weird little dance when he first comes out and sees the cop.
It's great. Oh, yeah, when he's trying to get around. But when they do, when Steve Buscemi, when Rex tells him, you got to be mean with these guys, and he lets it go.
Yeah.
Maybe the best part of the whole movie when he yells, and it's like, that is when you're like, they were just like, give us that, give us that, give us that. We want more, and he did it for 10 years, maybe 20.
And then he bought into his own hype and was like, I'm now instead of doing that, me and my friends are just gonna take vacations. You film them, and put them out as movies. That sounds pretty good.
Which they're better than most people's vacation videos. So yeah,
I would rather look watch. At it that light. I'll put it this way: I'd rather watch Grown Ups 2 than look at Deb's vacation or the pictures of her husband's model trains.
Yeah.
Fuck your mom. Oh, I can't stand your husband's stupid model trains. Nobody cares about him, Deb. Nobody cares. You talk a little bit about.
All right.
Try to cut the power, and Chaz goes out to rile up the crowd, and he really gets his people behind him. And but Kayla shows back up, and the SWAT guy grabs her, and it outs Chaz because the big secret. Chaz's real name is Chester Ogilvy, and he used to be a nerd.
There. I just love in the crowd. There's one person that just goes, "What?" when they say Chester, like, you don't know this guy. You don't know Chet. Oh, she's like a super fan. I like to think of the Lone Ranger that she loves Chaz.
I like to think. I always thought this too. None of these people have actually heard the Lone. Maybe there's like a dozen people in the crowd who have seen the Lone Rangers out. Most of them are there for the spectacle.
Yeah, exactly.
But they gain fans through their behavior. And so by the time we get to this point,
I guess you're right. They've been on the radio. They've been listening to the story. I guess that's true. They know what we know. I guess they've heard.
Right. You have to imagine most of this is playing out on air.
But also, like, your name's Chaz. Like, no one has the name Chaz. Like, if I was gonna guess, it's short for Chester or something. Like, that's what I would think.
But I like he like admits it. They try to bust him out, and he admits it, and then we have this great moment of nerd solidarity where like these metal fans and music fans are talking about like they learned to D&D, and they, you know what I mean? They used to wear corduroy pants. I love that shit.
It brings us together.
And I think that it's it predicted the future that we live in now, where like nerd shit is much more accepted.
Oh yeah.
Like you can be cool and like D&D, or like, you know, weird nerdy AV kids and artistic kids like are much more respected. You know, it's a beat in the first 21 Jump Street movie where he goes back. I felt like I was
it's flipped.
It's one of the many times I've felt like Channing Tatum in my life, where he goes back to school and he doesn't understand how like being sensitive and like caring about things is cool.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like wait, this isn't it. Yeah,
like, being a nerd and having weird quirks has become very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because of stuff like this, and I will say, I'll even take it one further. The arguably best scene in the arguably best Spider-Man movie is kind of this scene too, where all these people sort of stand up for Peter Parker and Spider-Man and say, "Hey, we're in this together, buddy." And it's an important part, maybe the best scene in the movie too. Not comedically anyway, but
but like there is some heart to this movie. It's not all just 100% jokes.
And it validates what Chaz believes too, is like what he says when he turns E into is also, you know, I think I have the ability to write one song that will live on forever. And he's like, that's all that really matters. Then I can die and nothing else matters. It's about contributing one thing to
song
this.
That people will remember.
And this scene like sort of validates his belief to him and says, you know what, this is for real.
Ian probably thought that a lot of it was just for the fame and the notoriety.
Exactly,
and, like,
true.
Everything, but he proves he's a true artist. And this isn't just the only time Chaz comes through. He holds on to art. That's like the very 90s part of this. That's a thing that doesn't exist anymore, where like the concept of selling out used to be, when we were growing up, selling out was seen as a negative thing. You know, people be like, oh, he sold out, that band sold out, which just basically means they got popular. They make money off of what they do now. Now that's the whole thing. People like live to sell out. That's what they want. They'll put their shit on YouTube. I don't care. I will take money for any. I don't care.
Yeah,
like,
exactly true. That was
I live to get my song on a Pepsi commercial. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I think for me it was when Lou Bega did Mama Number 5. I was like, wait, selling out is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What you gotta do is you gotta sell them some shit, and then who cares?
Yeah, who cares if any of Lou Bega's songs ever make a dime from now on? He got paid.
Yeah,
son.
Exactly. You don't recognize Lou Bega,
but not the Lone Rangers.
No.
They are the height of artistic integrity, and we're gonna get a couple more beats of that too.
Oh, absolutely.
So coming in from this big rallying speech, this big emotional moment, they get back in, but one of the squirt guns gets smashed in the door, and it gets revealed that they're squirt guns.
Yep.
Luckily, simultaneously, Michael Richards has the gun that the SWAT smuggled into him, and he tries to shoot, he tries to hold him up. Our second turn, our second joiner, our defector, Ditzy secretary, uses the giant baby bottle from the weird demands, smashes the dude's hand and knocks the gun out. Now, in classic True Lies fashion, when a gun falls on the ground, it just sprays erratically.
The entire clip must be empty.
Exactly.
All guns are made that way. When they fall on the side, the clip has to empty out. Safety. It's for safety.
Yeah. So the whole gun goes off. So the SWAT team drops back. You know, they had been coming up because of those squirt guns. They drop back. Everybody now knows it's serious business. They got real guns in there.
Which is the gun they gave him. I feel like even if they said, give him this gun, when I looked Michael Richards in the eye, I would have been like, maybe just take this
little pistol. Yeah, like they give like a submachine gun.
Yeah, it's definitely not a first-timer kind of gun.
So when Kayla throws the chair through the window, it smashes the soundboard and shorts it all out. So now even though they have the tape, they can't play it. One of the demands was to get a record executive down there. So Jimmy from Palatine shows up. So we got Judd Nelson back in the picture to work out the contract. They're about to sign it. This is where Chaz's artistic integrity comes back. The deal's all written up, but Judd hadn't heard the song yet. They were supposed to be hooking it up, and he hadn't heard it. And he doesn't like that one bit. You kicked me out of you kicked me out of your office yesterday, but today you're ready to sign a contract with me. You haven't even heard my song.
Yeah.
No dice. But they enticed Chaz with the legal help. Palatine's got lawyers out the ass. Rock stars don't go to jail.
Which is and he gives us a true story about that exactly not having it.
A very good example.
Yeah.
Look up Vince Neil.
Yeah.
So also something that Judd does for them because of all his connections, they can't play the song, but he calls in some more demands. It's like, I'm a hostage. They have more demands. They have a stage flown in, and this is where, like, I started to think the believability. I mean,
Out the
not to
window
say,
at
not
this
to say
point.
the whole thing hasn't been very believable, but like, they fly in a stage. Even that I could have got behind, but the fact that there are people doing wardrobe, that means that more people
Yeah.
had to be shuffled into the, like, that means the cops let people take
More-
cases and take like wardrobe fittings and take like electrical equipment, and they don't usually let things go into kidnap situations.
Not true. Yeah,
Like,
it's not a thing. It's like every movie you've ever seen. I've never been a part of a real hostage situation, but they're always trying to pull hostages out.
Right,
These
right.
guys end up with like 40
well,
more
and
hostages.
like if they get to send things in, that's usually a way to, like, they would try to pretend to be the costume people and sneak actual cops
Absolutely,
in there.
yeah.
And you know what I mean? So the thin layer of believability that was stretched across this movie is finally broken. That the people are watching, like, that's the point. That was your breaking point.
For the betterment of the movie, though,
Yeah,
because
betterment.
we gotta hear the song. Like at this point in the movie, you really do want
Right?
to hear
You're
the
like, my
song.
God, are we
too.
ever gonna hear the song? I agree. We're getting to the very end. And again, there's one last. They get up to play. They're on stage. They got their screaming fans there. The gear's not plugged in. They want him to lip sync, and this is the breaking point for Chaz. Jimmy is screaming at him, telling him to, get up and play. We're making a video. You don't do this. The lawyers are gone.
Yeah.
But no, they won't play. Throw down their weapons. They cannot play. And Ernie Hudson just lets the crowd rush the stage. And at this point, I was like, Ernie Hudson's the worst cop ever
He's
in this
immediately
movie.
fired.
He's always just groveling and bending over backwards to give them all their. When Chaz comes out and takes over the crowd, like he buckles and turns the power back on. When he just lets the crowd go run up. He's literally only there to be the cop that lets things happen.
Oh yeah,
to be
yeah.
like to facilitate the Lone Rangers at every turn. That's why they had to bring in the SWAT character, because like Ernie Hudson's just letting.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, yeah. I love that. They're like chanting something. They're like chanting like Attica or some shit, and he's like, all right, turn the power back.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
wait, what?
So I mean, as much as I love Ernie Hudson, if you want to see Ernie Hudson play a good cop, go watch The Crow.
Yeah.
This is not the place. This should have been Reginald Bell Johnson in this one. That's what I
he's
think.
done
He would have
for
been.
after this.
You finally connect the Ghostbusters Die Hard Airheads universe with Reginald Bell Johnson.
Yeah, like giving us that Urkel kind of vibe,
Right,
like
more
running amok
actually,
or can't do anything.
Instead of having Ernie Hudson and Chris Farley as two separate characters, make just Reginald Bell Johnson. When the SWAT guys show up, he has to go find Amy Locane and get the tape and try to subvert the thing that's going on with the SWAT team. That really would have been a better way, I think, to go about it.
Yeah, because you don't really need him there for the SWAT guy's story to play out correctly. You can
No.
give the order and
SWAT
go.
guy and Michael Richards are almost existing separate from the whole movie. They're kind of doing their own thing. They kind of have their own little beats. I was thinking that I was watching, I was like, you could kind of almost pull them out altogether and just leave Ernie Hudson, have him harden up his character a little bit. But I like, the thing is, then you lose some really great stuff with that guy and with Michael Richards. So I don't want to lose. I'm not saying it needs to come out of the movie. It doesn't waste time, because this movie's a tight 90 minutes, just like a good comedy should be.
Right in there.
Right on the money, So no, you don't have to lose a minute. But I'm just saying, it's like an extra. They're almost in their own little like B plot. They got their own little side thing
Absolutely
going.
true. Absolutely true. I am intrigued by the Chris Farley plus Ernie Hudson equals Reginald Bell Johnson.
Does that math work out?
I think it combined it. I mean, I think it gets pretty animated on Family Matters.
Well, and I figure the balance. You wouldn't get. He's not 100% Chris Farley, so he's not going to be all crazy.
Yeah.
And,
he's got that Ernie Hudson.
He's got the Ernie Hudson in him. Exactly.
That gravitas, if you will.
Right, the gravitas. Yeah. Exactly.
There's a scene that I thought Judd Nelson was in that he wasn't in.
Oh, really?
That is a different character. That ends up being my character corner. And in my mind, I was like, it doesn't play out, though. I know it's not. I don't think it's him, but I can only think of one record exec. So
there's two Ghostbusters in this movie.
Yeah.
Because Ernie Hudson and then Harold Ramis shows up.
Yeah.
He's a record. He pretends to be a record executive. Turns out he's actually a cop, and they give him a great test to see if he's really. When they ask him, it's like, the question is, what side did you take in the Van Halen split? And he says Van Halen, and instantly, I love Joe Montana. He's a cop.
Yeah.
So
not even part of the. He's one of the hostages. He's a cop.
He's a cop.
They give him 3 questions. I think he misses all 3.
Yeah,
too.
he does. He blows them all.
It's great, and he tries to defend himself. He's like, they made a lot of money. They sold a lot of
records after David left the band. That's a good band. But yeah, I mean, comedy icon Harold Ramis popping up for a little cameo in this. A couple more that I had noted. Kurt Loder shows
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
a little of that MTV's covering it authenticity. I
Yeah.
like that. They talk about one of the test questions that you mentioned that they give Harold Ramis is about Lemmy. Who would win in a wrestling match, Lemmy or God? Trick question. Lemmy is God.
Yeah.
Lemmy is in the crowd. He's the guy when
Yeah.
they're doing their nerd sound up and everybody's like, he says he was editor of the school magazine.
And it's like maybe 30 seconds because that scene's right
It's
after.
like they mention his name and he appears.
Yeah, which I thought was awesome, and it looks great too. Let me look great.
And the other one I wanted to mention, you said you couldn't place him. Marshall Bell is the head of the SWAT team. He's a big. I know him mostly from Paul Verhoeven movies. Starship Troopers. He's in Total Recall. He's Quato. He's got Quato coming out of him in Total Recall.
Okay.
So that's Marshall Bell.
That's crazy. He does a great job. And I'll say, we talk about him all the time. He's not like a character corner guy. Michael McKean is masterful in this movie. Like
he's so good in everything.
He really
is.
So
great.
The more you watch him, but
yeah.
there's some scenes and just some of the way he plays stuff. Is just amazing. He's just one of the best areas out there. Every time I see him, it's like, oh my god.
No, I think like we talked about the cast, rightfully so. Everybody that we mentioned is really great. Judd Nelson's great as the sleazy, record exec. You got slimy, spineless Milo. That's Michael McKean. Joe Mantegna's really good.
Perfectly cast.
As like the aging rock and roll DJ who doesn't quite understand the new stuff, but has the spirit of music in him and can kind of get into it. You know what I mean?
And he gets it back, like we said.
Absolutely. So we said we weren't going to do good buy versus good buy because we know this is a good one.
Yeah.
So just anything negative that you think doesn't hold up or anything that doesn't really flow for you or anything like that?
The only thing that's kind of a bummer is that kind of like, we're about to play the tape. Oh, we can't play the tape. It happens like 3 or 4 times. That's the only thing that is kind of like, okay, but it's really just a device to keep it going and keep them in the radio station, which I appreciate. But other than that, man, that's like a small gripe in a movie that is, it's comedically hilarious, but it also, unlike Dirty Work, it actually stands up as a good movie with a little heart, like as a rock and roll guy. It's got a little
more of a stronger story structure
than
Dirty Work does. Like it actually like it pays attention and like cares about its plot moving forward.
Yeah.
So it's doing stuff to do that. Yeah, I would say like I think I didn't like I said I don't love the female characters. It's definitely a very dude-centered movie anyway. I think they knew that it's not like you got a ton. Basically, only girls who are dating guys who like rock music are probably even going to see this movie. So maybe they thought they could get away with it.
And the other thing is, in the early '90s, these people existed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, absolutely.
Like, these are people that existed.
It's like I think we very quickly came up with a reason that Kayla acts like that, and I don't know if they sold it as well as you know what I mean. Like I said, I agree with her when she's bitching at Brendan Fraser about how she works and he's living the rock and roll lifestyle, but somehow they still make her come off like a bitch, even though like you know what I mean. So it's like they're just not doing her justice. So I would say that's a small gripe, and that's almost about it. That's really like the only thing I could think of.
Underuse of David Arquette, I guess, but that's a complaint I have for generally every movie.
And like maybe a little too much business between the SWAT guy and Michael Richards. Maybe I could have seen that trimmed down, like I said.
Yeah.
And I maybe Ernie Hudson didn't really have a place in this movie. And it wasn't really I don't know. Like I said, I've made some suggestions throughout the episode, some things you could have changed, but overall, I think this is kind of underrated. I do think it is up there with Billy Madison and Tommy Boy as that era of comedy, like one of the high points.
Oh
like,
yeah,
if you were into that sort of thing, I think you really like Airheads if you haven't seen it. And if you have and you like it, definitely tell us about it in the comments below. Give us our video a like, subscribe to the TUFF channel. Lots of great content. Thank you, Matt. Thank you all our friends. Thanks to Janine. Check down below this video. You will find links to everybody who helps out with this show's Twitter accounts and Janine's TeePublic page, where I have bought many, many t-shirts.
Yeah.
I had one come in the mail today that we were filming this. It had too many fold lines. It couldn't come on right now. So, soon I'll be wearing it. Make no mistake. But yeah, thanks Janine. Thanks Austin, who always helps out with the banners. Thanks to Ron for the music. Find us on Twitter at Hurstgillies.
At the Drunksman.
At the Drunksman. It's down
It's probably
here
like
somewhere.
way off. Yeah, I know where it's gonna be, and my
somewhere.
hands aren't even close.
Let's put it right over my face.
Now I'm gonna have to do all these motion graphics and move it around just for the joke.
That would be pretty good.
Way to go, Matt! You just added 2 hours to your edit.
If this episode is late, that's why. But thanks for joining us. Like I said, hit us up on Twitter, #DVD Bunker. Talk about this, talk about any of the other episodes, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.